Good morning, everybody. I'm back for, I think it's day 11 today. I don't even remember anymore. I've almost lost count in my own head. It's kind of how many days we've had so far. I think it's 11. Um, but we're back on the pavilion, you might have noticed. And that is because if you've noticed from the last couple of videos, the only issue with doing it down there on the beach is the sheer amount of sand gnats. Sand gnats are even worse than regular gnats because they're bigger and they actually do bite. They're terrible. They're like little flies. They're awful. And they were getting to the point where there were too many of them to even think about practicing down there. So I don't remember exactly how many were on the pavilion, but I don't think that they were nearly as bad as down there on the beach. So for the sake of really my health, because of my bug bites on my legs being accosted, we are going to be on the pavilion for today, just to give myself a little bit of a break. Plus, today I'm going to need that break from the gnats because I have decided, for my own pain and suffering and for your amusement, I am going to do an oops all diminished chords practice. If you recall, yesterday I said I would save the diminished arpeggio for today, and I did, and that is because this sucks, and I want to get good at it. I want to be really good at this because I have to do it a few more times. It doesn't help that this is tenor, and I'm not very good at tenor, but it's something I struggle with on alto and bari even. I haven't tried it on soprano, but I haven't had to either. So, yeah. We're gonna be on the pavilion for this one. I'm not gonna move down there. If you're wondering why I recorded this video later than I usually do, I was worst lap out of the day. I don't even know what happened, but I took a nap in my car, and then when I woke back up, I decided to go get some Hardee's because I was starving. So I just finished that and watched a couple YouTube videos, and then I came down here to practice because I finally got myself out of the car. Honestly, guys, the worst part about practicing is getting to the practice. Once you're there, it's fine. It might be a slog, but it's going to be fine. But let's adjust this a little bit, actually. But once you get to practicing, it's not so bad. There we go. You might wonder why I have my earbud in, if you noticed. Or if you're curious, a pair of Magenta J-Labs. I'm not real classy, but they get the job done. I could tell you about the story about that now, but I don't want to yet. That's going to be for later. And that is because I've decided that I don't really want y'all hearing the metronome as much. I'm sure it annoys y'all a little bit when I talk just with the metronome on, so I've decided to leave it on, but this time just in my ear. Plus, in my ear, I can hear it better than when I'm playing without it in my ear. So it'll help me, it'll help y'all. It's a net win for all of us, I would say. So finally, I didn't bring a smart water today. I already drank all of this. I didn't dump it out, I drank it. It's sink water, fountain water from Winn-Dixie. So it's fine. It's water. I don't really care. So smart water just tastes like metal. It is what it is. So yeah. Anything new? No, I don't think so. No new performances coming up. I'm probably gonna buy a new reed, so y'all are gonna get a mini review of a Leger reeds probably soon. I don't know which one I'm gonna get. I'm between the signature cut and the French cut. The French cut is the most recent one, and I've heard that one is super good. It's also the most advanced version of it, so it sounds closer to a cane reed than the rest of them will. But it has a very dark sound, because I use it on bari. But It's a very dark sound, and I don't really want my tenor sound to be as dark as my bari sound, and even that's not that dark. Like my alto sound's probably the darkest, then bari. Soprano is just somewhere, and then tenor is probably my brightest tone, and I kind of want to keep it that way. Um, so I'm gonna get one of those. I'll ask my friends, my tenor sax playing friends, what they think I should get. Probably today, and then go from there. I'll probably get a French cut. We'll see. I don't want to get another box of cane reeds unless I hate the synthetic reed, because if I can just get a synthetic reed, I don't play tenor nearly enough to need cane, and it'd still be cheaper. So yeah, it'd still sound fine, and it'd be cheaper, and it'd last longer. So I'm just gonna do that. That being said, like I said, there's a chance I hate it, and if I do hate it, oh well. It is what it is, I guess. I'm not gonna buy a second one. I'm not gonna have that whole return process. I'm just gonna have it in my case and never use it. It's just how things go. So, yeah. Without further ado, pain and suffering, the practice session. We are going to start very, very slowly. I'm talking slower than we ever have. I have my metronome set to 80, but that is only because I hate setting it to 40, because I can't actually figure out what the beat is at 40 beats a minute. But we are going to play starting at 40 beats per minute, slower than a second. That's how slow we're going. You know, our goal tempo is 120. By the way, we have to bump this up 3 times its speed currently. So that's going to be a challenge of endurance more than anything. But it is only because of that. That is the only reason I'm doing this. It has nothing to do with any of the other notes I happen to play. It is those 2 notes right there next to each other. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I could probably spend an entire hour practicing just that on its own and get nowhere if I start too quickly. So I'm going to take it as slow as I am mentally willing, and we're going to go from there. If I have to slow it down even farther, I'm going to be a little bit angry, but I've slowed it down as far as 30 beats a minute before, so it wouldn't be the first time. For context, that's the speed. Yeah, slow. I didn't really warm up, so we're just gonna go with it. I don't have any notes about that. I'm already not a fan. You're already off to a bad start, ladies and gentlemen. Hurts. It literally hurts right here. If you think your pinky is strong, try playing the saxophone. It's not strong. It sucks. Alright. We're gonna try something different. Normally I would go in scale series order, or if I flipped them around like this, then I would just do them in order of of the ones I'm doing. I'm actually going to start in reverse order because for whatever reason I'm struggling with that jump. And if I start in reverse order, I get another note in between those two, which makes the low notes significantly easier to get. So we're actually going to start with the fully diminished arpeggio. So. Okay, something is afoot. Oh no. So if y'all can't see what I'm doing, I'm like taking slowly some of the pressure off of the keys, not lifting them, just taking a little pressure off. And what's happening is if I take just enough pressure off of this one, it's actually not coming out. Here, I'll try and get real close so y'all can see it. Y'all see it? Y'all probably don't. But the idea is I'm taking like so little pressure off of that key, and it's still jumping up. So that means that that's really kind of a problem. That usually means there's a leak. I don't want to think there's a leak because I got it repaired, but there's always a chance that this just got overlooked or something. That happens. I'm not mad about that. Everything hurts, man. I feel like I should sit down. Really no good place to sit down though. It's a shame. Well, actually, there's one place. If I point it over here. Ah, I left my water there. There we go. The problem is I just have to be able to hang it. So we're gonna try it from here. I didn't want to do this. We're slowing it down. I cannot tell you how exceedingly frustrating it is that I, one, cannot play my low notes, and two, not do this transition that I've been doing for almost 9 months now. Had to do this, been able to do this. You know how frustrating that is? It sucks. Ooh, excuse me. Goodness. It's a hearty stuffing back. We're gonna turn off the metronome for a bit. Just noodle. All of my fingers just popped right My pinky hurts. Has your pinky ever hurt from strain? My pinky hurts. I'm frustrated. I'm not in a good mood right now. I'm tired. I'm not hungry anymore because I just ate. But I am tired. Yeah. Like, it's kicking my butt. I'm not gonna lie. Um, hmm. Well, I did say that after 20 minutes you got to move on to something else, or you're just going to go drive yourself nuts. And I'm already driving myself nuts in the 20 minutes. So I said, "Oops, I'll diminish arpeggios," didn't I? I lied. Um, we still have to practice the dominant and the minor seven arpeggios. So in between those, we're gonna work on the diminished stuff, and we might revisit the augmented because I remember that one wasn't so good either. So, see, this is why I'm so frustrated with the diminished ones, because like I can do this all day just fine, but one transition to my pinky, and it's over. I'm cooked. It sucks. Good morning. We see each other a lot, don't we? Seems like every day. We're already at 100 beats per minute, by the way. We just crossed 100 beats a minute. You guessed it. We're at 120 now. This is the max speed. This is all I want to be able to do on all of my arpeggios. This is it. A normal fast speed. Speed is all saxophonists should learn how to get to at some point with all their scales. It's completely fine. I only got 3 minutes of break out of that. I don't want to do diminished arpeggios. When I die and go to heaven, I'm so glad that God will not make me play diminished arpeggios until eternity. Though that would be really funny if I say that and that's exactly what he does. I don't know. Are there diminished arpeggios in the perfect harmony of God? That was a really deep question to ask at 8:07 on a Wednesday at a beach in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I don't know. I hate diminished arpeggios. That's the whole point. I could do myself a disservice as well as a service and practice everything up to those last few notes. But honestly, I could probably do that. That's not so, like, I could do all of that. That's not terrible. Like, there's a leak. I heard it that time. There's a leak. Where? finger. Maybe. I don't. There's a leak somewhere. I can hear it. It might be my reed. Hang on. Let's try something. Alright, I told you all the other day about my plank of wood. This is he, she, whoever you call it. I don't know, it's a reed. I told y'all about the saxophone sizes. Reed. Well, this is an abnormally strong reed for saxophonists to use. Usually saxophonists only go up to about 3.5. In fact, it is really only recommended to go up to 3.5. Well, some saxophonists have it weaker than that, but some saxophonists like me can make a 3.5 look easy. And the reason we have stronger reeds is because stronger reeds take more control and more pressure, but can also be louder, and I've heard play altissimo better. I can confirm they can get louder. I haven't confirmed the altissimo thing yet. That doesn't really bother me right now. But I'm thinking that maybe I can give myself enough control to at least make the embouchure work, if not my fingers, by putting this on and seeing what happens. It is a bit warped right now, so it's going to sound bad no matter what I do, but it's good to try it. That's all the time I actually need. It's to isolate where I'm doing wrong and where this is going wrong. And I think it's both of us. That's the problem. I don't actually think everything was fixed on this instrument now that I've played it for a couple weeks. And that's not a big deal. I mean, I did spend $135 to get it repaired, something like that. So like, it is still a hefty chunk of change I paid for this, but at the same time, one, you get what you paid for, and two, I was not very clear on the problems of this instrument. And while I do know he play tested it, he also is more professional than I am, so he probably could just control it, whereas I cannot. So, also, tomorrow I'm going to get this cool little device called a Geeklet and adjust this reed, because I don't actually know how long I've been using this reed and if it needs to be adjusted or not. I think this is one of the ones I adjusted, but it was also fresh. I don't know, it was fresh out the package, so I couldn't have adjusted it. We're going to adjust it and see if that helps too. I'll probably do that when I go home, because that's where my stuff is. I don't have two Geeklets. The Geeklet is in my alto case because I figured I'd be playing more alto this summer. Boy, was I wrong. I've played pretty much nothing but tenor for the last month. I had like one video on alto. It's honestly been fantastic. Being free of alto is kind of fun. Whoa. I didn't even know I could do that. I'm gonna take a brain break for just a moment. This is like lowest of the low breaks. This is like when you need a break. Something like this right here. And what I'm actually gonna do is, instead of just sitting here and scrolling my phone like you thought I was gonna do, I got this fun little app called MuseScore, and I can look up songs in like the sheet music form. So I can learn how to play stuff a little easier. And I figured I wanted to learn a really cool lick, so hang on. I gotta find it. Ooh, excuse me. It's not the right one. I guess if you're curious, it's kind of silly, but I'm looking up how to play. It's the crystal theme from Final Fantasy III. Not the one I told you about in a video way a long time ago, but it's for the final boss. I'm trying to figure out how to play it, because I guess I have to do it by ear. No problem. Let's give it a try. How's it going? Nope. That's not it. This is stupid. Never mind. Alright, everyone. Yeah, I don't want that one either. Kirby. Yeah. There you go. I used to be able to play the main theme on whatever, or the Kirby dance. I can kind of do it. Yeah, it's kind of hard, actually. It's like it's easy, but it's hard. It's like it jumbles around a lot. more from the top. There we go. All right, back to the main start videos. There's always one thing that consistently is never a fan of me, and it's dogs. Dogs don't like the saxophone very much. I think that one's barking at me. Wearing an earbud for 9 hours a day is not fun. I say 9 because this is one of them. I wear it while I work because music makes me a little faster, so, and I need to be fast because I'm already slow. It's hard to lose motivation. It's hard to keep motivation. I've already lost it, but I try. What's probably going to happen is I'm probably going to end up skipping this and coming back to it when I'm more comfortable with tenor. Just because I'm going to have to do it pretty soon anyway. But I want to get more comfortable with my pinkies. And the next scale we're going to do is actually going to be kind of better for that. I might jump forward some series and do like one of the harder ones and then come back. The hard one I could think of that would probably help the most with this would be the F sharp series, which would actually be the last one we would do. But I think in this instance it would actually help a lot. For one, it covers all of the pinky notes that I have to worry about. And for two, it would give me a little bit more dexterity on an instrument I just don't play very much. So, I think it would probably help. So, actually, what if we worked our way backwards? Because I know I'm going to struggle on these anyway. What if we just did them first and then hoped for the best when I got back to college?
because I'm never gonna be able to complete them all. I've come to terms with that already. But what if I started at the end and worked backwards? You audience have just discovered what my thinking process is like. I think I'm gonna do that. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to start on the F sharp series and work backwards. I don't have. That's not true. I don't get to escape the arpeggio either. But it'll be a major arpeggio rather than a diminished arpeggio. So at least it'll sound cool if I can do it right. It will be in every single arpeggio except for the minor ones. Yeah, that little transition right there is going to kick my butt. Really, I should start in B, get my dexterity up, and then do F sharp. But I'm going to do F sharp first and get that one out of the way, and then work backwards. As for y'all, really I should keep going for about 10 more minutes. I probably will, but I haven't done the minor arpeggio, so I'll probably do that, and then I'll do the chromatic scale to finish off. That should be pretty easy. I'm just going to start at 100 for the minor arpeggio. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's days like this that make me hate practice. Or just I can't do anything right. Or when I do things right, it's just like it should be harder. And it's not, then it is, and it's not. And it's frustrating that I can do this and not something else. I don't know. I'm very easily frustrated in my practice. It's probably the only thing that makes me frustrated. Like this. Video games, I can just turn them off, come back to them later. I can do that with practice too, but it's not the same. Or just literally anything in life, I can just come back to it later on my own time. Saxophone I have to do now. There is no waiting till later. It just is now. I haven't made it all the way through the G series yet. I'm not gonna do any more of it. I think we pretty much established that mine is the last few. It's actually pretty easy, but it's the last few that are the kicker here. So I don't want to end the video short, but at the same time, I genuinely just do not want to practice anything else. I'm not tired, not really. I'm not like worn out. I just don't want to do this right now. You know, like the only time you shouldn't practice is when you just cannot find a reason to practice. Like nothing in this world will motivate you to practice. Don't. There's no point in forcing yourself to do something you like. If you have to force yourself to do something you like, then you're gonna hate it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be nice to myself. I'm gonna give myself a break. Not a video break. I'm not gonna do that yet. I'll wait till probably the weekend to do something like that. But if I do it, but right now I just need I need to stop because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna be in a bad mood when I go to bed, and that makes me sleep terrible. So, plus I probably need to cut it short anyway. Even though it's only 5 minutes, any amount of time I can sleep is better than not having it. So, yeah. Also, for those of you who want me to break down the Kirby lick, because I'm sure you did. On tenor saxophone, it's a little different for alto and bari, but on tenor saxophone, it starts on G, and then it goes G, A, B, C sharp, D, A, F sharp, A, and then it does that again 3 times. And then from this F sharp, this third one, you jump up to an A with the octave key, G, F sharp, D, E, F sharp, D, D. Like that. And it's just fast, as fast as you could play it, really. Yeah. I don't want to do any more of this. So I'm gonna pack it up. Thank y'all for joining me on this morning, even though I've been frustrating and honestly a little bit awful to watch as I get increasingly more frustrated as time goes on. That's pretty much every practice, but it's kind of especially for this one. I want to start incorporating other things into my practice than scales, because scales are great, but I just need to do something else. I'm not flexing my artistic muscles, I'm just flexing my fingers. And honestly, that's not good. I need to be doing other things. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but something will work. I'll find something to do. I have this book called the Farrelling Book. You're supposed to use it as an all-state audition book, but lots of professionals use it as a good practice tool. The etudes in there are like known to be frustrating, but also very nice to play. They're supposed to be very difficult to play, which is why we use it to study, is because you can play the Farrelling etude, you can play quite a bit. So I might play songs out of that. If nothing else, I have this book called the Rubank Advanced Method. It's really meant for high schoolers or like 3rd, 4th year players. I'm a 7th year player. But the excerpts in there I can use as like musicality practice, where instead of technique practice, even though that probably wouldn't be too bad. That would be kind of the only thing I'd use it for. The other thing I could use is I still have the cello suites from last semester, so I could probably use those as good practice too. Until I get my audition material, I'm not going to have really anything to practice, but that audition material will pretty much take over everything else once I get it. So I want to make sure I have everything as best I can. Yeah, like I don't want to be behind on musicality, especially now that I've been in college. I don't want to lose any of my experience that I pretty much did when I got my wisdom teeth removed, but I didn't mean it like that. But I need something other than scales, y'all. Like scales frustrate me so much because I can play so much better than this on literally anything else. I know I can because I do it all the time, but scales are just so uniquely frustrating to me. I cannot think of anything more frustrating to play and get wrong than scales. I should have these down by now. I've been playing these scales, some of them for just a year, but a lot of them for years now. Stuff that I just fiddled around with or actually had to play for years now, and I'm still not getting them. I'm still not playing them right. It's just like, that's kind of the frustrating part, is you can do all the music well, but you'll do it so much better if you get the scales right. The scales are going to be the most frustrating part, though. Not the piece, the scales. It's always scales. Scales are the most frustrating thing to play as a musician because you're going to have to play them forever. On that dour note, I actually do have a project I'm working on. Y'all may or may not know this, I arrange music in my free time. I haven't been as of late, 1 because of college, but 2 because I just wasn't in the swing of it when I got back home. So I recently started working on a Final Fantasy adventure medley. If you don't know, a medley is just where you take a bunch of pieces and you smash them together. Some people do it more artistically than that. I'm just gonna put them together as best I can. Some transition is required, a lot is not. So I'm currently arranging that. I've arranged, I want to say 2, maybe 3 of the tunes from that game. I want to do at least 6. Because the whole soundtrack is about 23 songs, so that's a bit much. But really, all the most important soundtracks come down to about 6 to 8 songs. So I want to do that. I'm doing that currently. I don't know how I'm going to share that with y'all. I could just upload a link as a post, but I want to screen record it and have it like a video. That way I can get more views. That's probably what I'm going to do. At least then you can see it. You won't be able to actually see all the music unless I use my iPad to screen record it, and even then you probably won't be able to see it all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attempt to pick just the instruments you need to see in order to get the idea behind what I've arranged. Currently I doubt any of you have played Final Fantasy Adventure. It's a game for the Game Boy. Not even the Game Boy Color, just the Game Boy, so there's no color version of it. They made a remake of it for the Game Boy Advance called Sword of Mana, but I've heard it wasn't very good, and I tried it, and whereas the opening scene in the game takes all of about 5 seconds to start, in the Game Boy version it literally took 15 minutes to get to the exact same place in the remake. So I'm thinking that's a no for me. It seems fun, but I just don't care. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I've arranged the main theme, and then I'm currently either working on or have finished, I don't remember, both of the overworld themes. I'm gonna do probably a dungeon or cave theme, just because they're short and it's worth doing. I'm probably going to do, I think there's like a sadness scene. I might do like a sadness track. I might do that one. And then I'll redo the opening music in like a bigger, grander orchestral style. And that'll be how the medley goes. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. That's the biggest update I have for y'all. It's just a little, I guess I could call it a passion project, but it wouldn't really be right to call it that. It's just a hobby at this point. It's like, if this is my career, then arranging music is my hobby. If this is my hobby, then arranging music is just a pastime at this point. But I've done other projects on there. If you'd like me to screen record them and post them on my YouTube instead of having to go over to Flat, which is the software I use, then let me know. I can most certainly do that. It would not take very long at all. I've done all sorts of video game tracks. I've done Final Fantasies. I haven't done 1, 2, or 3 yet, but I've done 4 through 7 at least once. Just tracks from any of those games. I've done some Zelda. I've done Chrono Trigger. I think I did a Secret of Mana piece. I did the final boss theme, Meridian Dance. And I plan on doing other video game soundtracks at some point. I plan on doing something from the Breath of Fire series, probably 3, because that's my favorite game. I actually done Breath of Fire 2, I think, on there. I plan on doing something from Lufia 2. I plan on doing something from Trials of Mana, which was a really good game. The only issue with that is I have to have a lot of pitched percussion, and without my premium subscription, I can't do that. So I have to wait to get that on a different software, so because I'm not paying for that. But yeah, that. There's other games, I just not remembering them right now. I want to do something from Kirby at some point. I'm surprised I haven't already, but I'm going to do something from Kirby. Probably more Final Fantasy 4 through 7. I'm going to try and hit Final Fantasies 1 through 3. The problem with all three of those is there really aren't that many tracks. Good ones there are plenty of, but just generally there aren't that many, and you'd have to arrange them in kind of a quartet quintet style because it was on the Nintendo Entertainment System, so it's all saw waves and such. Which you could arrange orchestrally. I'm doing that with the Final Fantasy Adventure medley, but it's a lot easier to do with Game Boy games because they had better sound, which is strange because there was a smaller device with less parts, but it had better sound technology than the NES did, and that's because it came later. So with those, it's a little easier because you can at least divvy up some of the parts. But with the NES, it's especially with the first game on the NES, the Final Fantasy 1, it's especially hard to break up those parts because they were built to be simple. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. I want to arrange Final Fantasy 1 and maybe 2 as a sax quartet, but I also don't have access to bari sax on flat, so I can't do that. I could always do alto, alto, tenor, tenor, but the problem is I wouldn't be able to get low enough with tenor, and I might not be able to get high enough with alto in order to do that feasibly. So with 2, I'd probably do the same thing, but that one's a little easier to justify making a woodwind quintet out of. So even just a quartet would be fine, but I'll probably make it into a quintet just to make things a little easier. I can come up with something for a 5th part. 3 would be probably the easiest to arrange for anything larger than that, but even then, I'd probably still do it as a quintet quartet of some sort with drum set. So, yeah, those are kind of all my planned but haven't really started projects. I want to do more Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger. Really, that's kind of the big 2 at the moment. I was working on, my policy when I arrange music is that I'm not allowed to arrange for any game I haven't beat yet. So I was going to try and play through Final Fantasy X so that I could arrange Seymour's fight theme. But I'm starting to very much dislike Final Fantasy X. In fact, I barely made it past the intro without just turning it off because it's slow. And it's like, I don't know, it's just like there's voice acting in the game too. And it's like some of the worst voice acting I think I've ever heard in a piece of media on screen. So like I have a lot of projects I want to do that I just won't do because I haven't beat the game yet. And then there's some games that'll probably never get a project out of me just because they're either too easy or they've been done a million times, or I just don't feel like doing them. Minecraft is one of those. Even though there are plenty of good soundtracks in that game, I'm sure all of them have been arranged about 50,000 times and it wouldn't make any difference if I did it. Also games like GoldenEye, where all of the soundtrack in that game is fantastic, except none of it is like the same kind of soundtrack I would arrange. It's very much supposed to just be background music. That's why you don't see a whole lot of modern games. In fact, I don't think you see any modern games on my discography because a lot of games now focus on background music as opposed to motivic music like they would in the early days, because they didn't have orchestral arrangements to work with. They had very, like in the NES era, they had like waves, and then in the Super Nintendo, they had like, I can only describe them as MIDI files. That's probably not what they were. But they had like sound fonts. And then by the time you hit the PS1, you started seeing things like orchestral arrangements and such, or more stylized groups of musicians, or like musical instruments. But that was like late 90s, early 2000s kind of thing. That wasn't really something they did early on. So it's a lot easier to find motivic music early on than it would be now. Like, I want you to think of a game in your head that has a theme you could recognize. And like just any game, like any AAA game that you can think of that's not just like strings and drums, which is not a bad thing. That serves a good purpose, especially nowadays where it's kind of hard to do motivic music without being a little bit goofy. But I would challenge you to find something with that kind of music in it, because it'll be kind of hard. We lean toward background music now because it's a lot. We focused kind of cinematics, which if you have Motivic music, it's kind of harder to do cinematic video games as a result. It's not impossible, obviously. You can do stuff like that. Final Fantasy VII is a perfect example of it, but it is still hard. Or even 10. 10 is a really good soundtrack from what I've heard. And the few soundtracks I've heard off there are pretty great. But that's kind of the idea, is it's a lot of, it's usually supposed to be background music as opposed to like actual Motivic music that you would know from like the Super Nintendo game. So that's not a problem I have. It's just like it makes things hard to represent in my portfolio. Like games that I would absolutely love to do something for, but have literally nothing to do. Actually, one of those games is like the Jedi series. I'm a big fan of the Jedi series. I've been playing them since the first one. Both are fantastic games. The story in the first one is so good, and then they improved the mechanics in the second one, and the story dropped off immediately, like right at the end. But they were both fantastic games, and I'm waiting with bated breath on the third one. So, but I have nothing to do in either of those games because they're either reused tracks from movies or their background music, and while both are fine, neither of them really help me. So I've been rambling for about 20 minutes now. I need to go to bed. Be on the lookout for any projects I have coming up. I think I'm going to screen record them and post them on YouTube as a video. That way y'all don't have to go to Flat to make an account and then watch my video. You can just see it on YouTube, or my arrangement. So I will try to get so that you can see every instrument I arranged for, but likely what will happen is I will condense it down to only the parts rather than the instruments. Represented by an instrument, of course. Like I think bassoon kind of is by itself with cello, or like violin kind of stays by itself the whole time, even though I have other instruments that can do that job just fine. I have a viola arranged in there, but I actually use it more like a bassoon. I use it more like a French horn and a bassoon than I use it like a violin, because I actually I like the idea that viola can do a little bit more than string. So it's hard to do really anything with viola, but you can do more with viola than you can with violin, because violin is so high. Whereas viola, you can get some pretty good low range out of it. Not like low though, but it can get into the bass clef. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank y'all for watching and listening to me ramble. I apologize for cutting the practice short and just rambling, but I was already really not in a good mood to come down here and do this, and then to do diminished arpeggios is just like, it's a mood killer. So I'm not gonna do them too much if I can help it. I'm gonna try and be here tomorrow. The nice thing about tomorrow is that tomorrow is my day off. So if I were to take a break, it would be tomorrow. I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try and keep myself disciplined and come, but no guarantees. It'll probably be in the pavilion again, because as you noticed, I really have not been swatting away that many bugs. Just a handful here and there, but nothing quite as bad as what I was doing down there on the beach. So we're gonna stay out in the pavilion. It's also got somewhere for me to sit, which is nice, even if it is these really terrible benches or tables. These picnic tables, they're terrible. They make my butt itch. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm not going to check the analytics today. I'm actually going to kind of space those out. That way y'all can just kind of get a feel for it, but not have it just like be a gag or something, like a bit. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, still the most popular videos are like some of the older ones from the series. The newer ones are still doing kind of terribly, as far as I'm aware. So if y'all could boost those numbers, that's totally fine, but I would understand why you wouldn't do that. Watching someone practice for an hour and then ramble for another 15 is kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie. I know that. So this was just a way for me to go practice, even if it was only for 45, even just 20 minutes. So that was the whole point of this entire endeavor. I'm going to continue to do it because it's working. But at the end of the day, the entire point was just for me to come out here and practice. It wasn't to boost my numbers. It wasn't to see how many subscribers I could get. It was literally just to go and practice. So the fact that I'm gaining subscribers and views out of this is just, it's like a nice little cherry on top of the whole idea that I've been practicing on near consistently for about two and a half weeks now. Like, that's good. That's really good for me. I've never made progress like that before, at home at least. I've always been reluctant at best to practice at home. And even in college, I'm reluctant to practice when I'm surrounded by musicians who understand. So it's like, I mean, it's kind of wonderful that I'm out here right now. If I don't get very much done in the next month, at least I've been practicing and keeping my chops up. And on top of all of that, now I have more experience on tenor. So that's wonderful. I didn't tell y'all, I played with my church on the 4th of July. I might have told y'all this. I played with my church on the 4th of July. I think they streamed it. If you would like to go see what I sound like in person, you're not gonna be able to hear me in person, but if you'd like to see what I sound like with the band, we used our praise team. If it's anywhere, it's on Facebook, which I know it's like a cesspool, but that's where they do all of their social media stuff, is on Facebook. They are called New Grace Baptist Church. If you need a place in order to look that up, they're in Floraholm. The actual event took place at Grace Baptist Church in Stark, Florida. I played with the praise team for anywhere between 8 and 10 songs. I really wasn't counting after 4. And you get to hear me, what I sound like in person when I'm actually playing music and not just scales. I think I could have done better, and I experimented a little bit too heavy, but that's okay. It'll probably still sound good-ish. So yeah, no one told me I did bad, and I kind of wish they would, but if I didn't do bad, then there's really no point in telling me I did bad. So I don't know. But I did do that. If you would like to go see what I sound like, you already know what I sound like on alto and Barry. You heard me in all the videos way before this series even started. But tenor, y'all really haven't got a chance to hear me. I'm gonna try and record during marching season or pet band season, to get y'all kind of the sound of what I'm like when I'm absolutely blowing every molecule of oxygen out of my body as fast as I can. I say molecule because the oxygens are attached together. They're not just by themselves. That's why you're really breathing O2, which is just 2 oxygens stuck together rather than just 1 oxygen, because I think 1 oxygen is just like highly reactive or something. I don't remember how it works. I'm not a scientist. But yeah, so I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm gonna stop rambling. I've been rambling for 20 minutes past when this video was supposed to end. Thank y'all for joining me. That's all the projects and such I have coming up and just did. I will see y'all tomorrow if all goes well. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm like aging at an accelerated rate. I'm 19 going on 47 years old.